Chapter 36. Demon Saint Bloodline, Disciple offers an opportunity. With my aptitude, it's impossible for me to catch up to you, Junior. Chang Yuer sighed gloomily. Am I really worthy of Hanju? She already had 2 competitors in the inner sect alone. Mozu's talent even surpassed hers. Hanju consoled her. You won't be able to catch up to me. You just have to cultivate as hard as you can. Longevity is the most important thing for us cultivators. Hearing that, Chang Yuer was even more demoralized. After that, she started to talk about what had happened in the sect recently. Sect Master had already led the disciples of 10 peaks to attack the viridescent nether cult. The remaining 8 peaks were guarding the sect. Ever since the end of the attack by the cult, the cultivation atmosphere in the inner sect was far more intense than before. All the disciples felt threatened. Zhou Fan had already reached the 9th level of the Foundation Establishment realm and was preparing to transcend the tribulation to the Golden Core realm. The sect's reputation in the cultivation world had greatly increased. They were like the leader of the orthodox sects now. As for strength, that was probably not the case. The story about the deity-slaying elder had also spread in the cultivation world. Although Hanju wanted to keep a low profile, his pseudonym became famous from a single battle. After 4 hours, Chang Yuer finally left. Once the Spirit Key Gathering Array formation was activated, the concentration of Spirit Tai in the cave abode began to increase noticeably. It seems that the status of the sect is also very important. It can affect my cultivation speed. Hanju thought silently. He had to ask Li Qingzi for some pills. Then Hanju resumed his cultivation. Half a year later, a notification appeared before Hanju's eyes. The viridescent nether cult has given up on targeting the Jade Pure sect. You'll obtain a piece of equipment and a spell manual. Congratulations on obtaining the Demon Binding Rope and the Major Chiliocosm Thunderstorm. Demon Binding Rope. It has a powerful binding effect. It can bind all living beings below the soul formation realm and immobilize them. Major Chiliocosm Thunderstorm. A thunder-type spell. It can induce the thunder spirit key of heaven and earth to unleash a catastrophic thunderstorm. Massive area of destruction. The cult had finally given up. Honestly, they were really tenacious. They were beaten to the point of fleeing from their headquarters, yet they still dared to plan for revenge. From the looks of it, the viridescent nether cult would be eliminated. From now on, the Great Yan cultivation world would no longer have a viridescent nether cult. Hanju smiled and started to bind the demon binding rope to him. After that, he inherited the Major Chiliocosm Thunderstorm. The Major Chiliocosm Thunderstorm had a large area of effect. It suited Hanju's taste. He loved this kind of grand spell. Being cool was a lifelong endeavor. That night, the thunderclouds above the inner sect gathered and a terrifying heavenly aura enveloped the 18 peaks, causing everyone to shiver in fear. The cult is attacking us again? The cult is already gone. Could it be some other demonic path sect? It's possible. After all, the viridescent nether cult wasn't the strongest among the demonic path sects. Prepare for battle. The disciples of the 8 peaks who remained in the inner sect were extremely nervous. Even the elders were anxious. Soon, the elders discovered that the spirit energy came from Hanju's cave abode. And the rolling thunderclouds in the sky did not cause any damage to the inner sect. Is he practicing a spell? Wow. The elders were even more respectful towards Hanju. The thunderclouds in the sky quickly dispersed, and the sect regained its peace. Not long after, an elder revealed that the abnormal sign just now was the deity-slaying elder practicing a spell. After this news spread, the disciples of the Jade Pure sect felt much safer. After that great battle several years ago, the deity-slaying elder was their greatest pillar of support. As long as the deity-slaying elder was around, nothing would happen to them. 2 years later, Hanju's cultivation was still at the 2nd level of the nascent soul realm, but he was already close to the 3rd. This was already incredibly fast. Ever since Hanju joined the inner sect, most of the nascent soul cultivators in interpersonal relationships did not increase their cultivation. Hanju was satisfied with his progress. After all, he still had more than 800 years to live. Breaking through to the soul formation realm was a sure thing. "Are you free, Elder Han?" A voice sounded from outside the cave abode. It was Li Qingzi. Hanju immediately waved his hand and opened the cave abode's stone door to let him in. Li Qingzi's face was full of radiance. The J Pure sect was in its prime. As the sect master, he naturally felt respected. He walked in and sized up this connate cave abode. He smiled and said, "This cave abode is still a little small for Elder Han. Do you want to go to Main Peak to cultivate?" Hanju shook his head. "It's fine here. I'm already used to it." He sensed the auras of the others. Someone was waiting outside the cave. His cultivation was low. He probably just reached the Foundation Establishment realm. Detected bearer of connate Providence, checking its origin. A line of words appeared in front of Hanju. He immediately checked it. Yang Tiandong possesses the bloodline of a demon saint. He was born half human and half demon. His cultivation potential is unparalleled. However, when he was young, he lost control and transformed into a demon. He'd injured his fellow disciples and was imprisoned by the viridescent nether cult. Fortunately, the J Pure sect saved him. Another candidate for the protagonist? The viridescent nether cult was quite impressive. They had 2 bearers of connate Providence hidden inside. But actually J Pure sect also has 2. There are quite a few geniuses, but the ones that live till the end are rare. Since that's the case, then I won't ask you anymore. But if you have any requests, just tell me. I've already told all the elders that everything about you is a big matter for the sect." Li Qingzi chuckled. Hanju smiled and said, "Thank you for your kind intentions, sect master." Although he had already surpassed everyone in the J Pure sect, he wasn't arrogant, because he still wanted to stay in the sect. "Everything is good now. By the way, Elder Han, do you wish to take in a disciple? You can just casually give him some guidance. This guy has a lot of potential. When he grows up in the future, he can also be of great assistance to you," Li Qingzi asked with a smile. He turned to look at the cave entrance and summoned Yang Tiandong in. Yang Tiandong looked like he was in his early 20s. His facial features were well defined, and although he wasn't considered handsome, he was still good-looking. There was a strong beastly aura about him, and the Daoist robe of the Jade Pure sect looked somewhat incongruous on him. He knelt in front of Hanju humbly. Hanju subconsciously wanted to refuse. But on second thought, it wasn't bad to nurture disciples. They would be his helpers when they grew up. I can accept him as a disciple, but he needs to be taught a cultivation technique of the Jade Pure sect. I'll only be responsible for teaching him spells and mystical powers, Hanju said with a low voice. Li Qingzi smiled and said, "There's no problem with the cultivation technique. I can give him the inner sect cultivation technique." But he wasn't a Jade Pure sect disciple. He has to contribute to earn the chance to learn our secret techniques. Okay. Li Qingzi took out a bunch of tokens with the words "deity slaying" carved on them. "These are your tokens. You can give them out to your disciples in the future." With that, he turned around and left. Hanju waved his right hand, and a token flew towards Yang Tiandong. The other tokens were all kept in the little universe belt. Yang Tiandong has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Only 1 star. Hanju narrowed his eyes and said, "I have already deduced your background. Your name is Yang Tiandong, half human and half demon. You have been imprisoned by the viridescent nether cult, right?" Yang Tiandong looked up in shock. Before he came, Li Qingzi had specifically instructed him not to reveal his past. He didn't expect Hanju to deduce it so easily. So this is the mighty figure who killed a soul formation realm cultivator with a single sword strike. Yang Tiandong's favorability toward you has increased. Current favorability, 3 stars. Yang Tiandong said respectfully, Master, you're indeed impressive. I didn't expect you to be able to deduce this much. I'm impressed. He paused as if making a decision. With a flip of his right hand, a red feather appeared in his hand. He said seriously, Master, this was left behind by my father, and it contains his ultimate technique. I need to reach the soul formation realm before I can cultivate it. I'm still far from that realm. Master, you can learn it first, then teach me in the future. Chapter 37. 4th level of the nascent soul realm. Imitate heaven and earth. Hanju received the crimson feather and perused it with his divine sense. Immediately after, he felt a powerful force obstructing his divine sense. Maybe only the divine sense of a soul formation realm cultivator could force into the object. Yang Tiandong had a 3-star favorability toward him. So what he said was probably true. Then, I'll accept it first. You can cultivate your spirit energy for 10 years first. I like those who cultivate diligently. If you perform well, I'll teach you spells, Hanju said. Yang Tiandong quickly thanked him. Hanju pointed to the side and said, Find a place to meditate and cultivate. Then he closed his eyes and began to cultivate. Yang Tiandong stood up and found a corner to sit down. He didn't dare to look at Hanju for fear of offending him, so he immediately started cultivating. Soon he discovered that the spirit tie in this cave abode was extremely dense. It was a good place for cultivation. Ever since the spirit key gathering array formation and the new natural treasures were added to the cave abode, the spirit key there became increasingly dense. Hanju's cultivation was more and more efficient. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. At the same time, Hanju reached the 4th level of the nascent soul realm. This sort of breakthrough speed definitely surpassed mortals. According to this cultivation speed, breaking through to soul formation wasn't too far away. Hanju opened his eyes. In these 10 years, Yang Tiandong's cultivation had reached the 6th level of the foundation establishment realm. 6 levels in 10 years. He was pretty fast. He was indeed a genius. Hanju called him Tiandong. Yang Tiandong suddenly woke up and hurriedly kowtowed to him. How have you felt these 10 years? Hanju asked. Yang Tiandong replied, I've benefited greatly. Not only did my cultivation level increase, but I've also made sense of many principles. My goodness! It's been 10 years. Yang Tiandong wailed in his head. In these 10 years, he had become hopeless countless times. However, he felt that this was Hanju's test for him, and he could not relax. If he couldn't even pass the first stage, Hanju would definitely not treat him as his disciple. Hanju raised his eyebrows. He made sense of many principles. Bullsh asterisk. I've been in seclusion for more than 100 years, but I haven't made sense of anything. Hanju felt that there was a need for Yang Tiandong to gain more experience. He said, Go out and do some missions. I remember that the sect mission building has a monthly contribution list. You can come back when you become the first on the list. Yang Tiandong immediately stood up. When he got up, he nearly went down again. After sitting for 10 years, his lower body had stiffened. He quickly bowed and left. Hanju waved his hand and opened the door. After Yang Tiandong left, Hanju pondered for a moment before taking out the divine cognition pills he obtained from killing Duan Tongshan. The pills were used to enhance divine sense. After strengthening his divine sense, he could try to break into the crimson feather that Yang Tiandong had given him. There were 9 pills in the bottle. Hanju took out one immediately. After taking the divine cognition pill, Hanju immediately felt dizzy. Some time passed. When he woke up, he discovered that his divine sense had doubled in strength. He was pleasantly surprised. This pill is quite powerful. Hanju began taking the pill regularly. Half a month later, all 9 divine cognition pills were consumed. The effects were outstanding. His divine sense soared. It was more than 10 times stronger. The more pills one consumed, the stronger the effect. It was very magical. Hanju took out the crimson feather again and probed it with his divine sense. Boom! That powerful resistance appeared again. Hanju gritted his teeth and persisted. His divine sense collided with the barrier. After about 3 seconds, he forcefully broke through the resistance. Immediately after, an enormous amount of memories surged into Hanju's mind. Mystical power. Imitate heaven and earth. This was a mystical power that allowed one's body to grow 10,000 times. This mystical power had appeared in many legends. When mastered, one could have a 10,000-meter tall body. Hanju was pleasantly surprised. He liked the grandness and magnificence of the mystical power. In the mountains, a group of cultivators was hurrying on their way. The one walking in front was Mofuku. Mofuxiao had reached the Golden Core realm and had become a true core disciple. Other than him and 2 other male disciples, the rest were all young men and women. Is J pure sect up ahead? Hayes, will I fail the selection test? It's normal to fail. Treat me well in the future and I'll let you play the flute. With your whistling skills, you should be able to play the flute well. Which of the 18 peaks is the strongest? I'm not sure. Senior Mo will introduce each peak to us when the time comes. These youths were the new disciples of the Jade Pure sect. Mo Fuchao had recently accepted a mission to be in charge of recruiting disciples. Old Immortal de Waste Thunder wanted to support him. Being a core disciple wasn't enough. Mo Fuchao needed to build his authority. Recruiting disciples was the easiest way to form connections and build authority. Hearing the discussion behind him, Mo Fuchao smiled. Back in the days, he had also been very excited when he joined the sect. At this moment, an ear-piercing sound came from the front. Mo Fuchao subconsciously drew his sword and slashed the air with it, shattering a bamboo arrow. Immediately after, the bamboo arrow fragments turned into a poisonous mist that spread in all directions. Retreat, we ran into enemies. Mo Fuchao said in a deep voice, then jumped up and swung his sword at the attacker. It was a man in a straw raincoat, and his straw hat concealed his face. He pulled out 2 curved blades from his back, and the blades were shiny and cold. Seeing that Mo Fuchao was charging towards him, the person in the raincoat moved and formed 5 clones. All of them attacked Mo Fuchao. Mo Fuchao slashed out with his sword. Lightning flickered, turning into a large net that covered the raincoat man and his clones. The raincoat man quickly spun, turning into a black whirlwind, forcefully tearing apart the lightning web. Mo Fuchao did not panic. He performed a hand seal with his left hand and struck the ground. Lightning traveled along the ground at an extremely fast speed. The raincoat man had just landed on the ground when the lightning wrapped around him, causing his entire body to start trembling. Mo Fuchao charged forward, preparing to subdue the attacker. Boom! The ground beside him suddenly exploded, and another man in a raincoat broke out from the ground, swinging his blade at him. Mo Qiangxin cursed in his head. Who are these guys? How dare they cause trouble in the Jade Pure sect's vicinity? Just as he was about to react, a talisman emerged from the ground behind him and quickly stuck onto his back. Mo Fuchao was immediately petrified and rooted in position. Pooh! The man in the raincoat stabbed through Mo Fuchao's chest, and blood splashed out along the blade. Mo Fuchao's pupils dilated with despair. Crap! The others stepped back. When they saw that Mo Fuchao had been severely injured, all of them panicked. Everyone, kneel. We only want to capture Mo Fuchao. If you dare to disrupt us, you will all die, one of the men shouted in a deep voice. The disciples were so scared that their legs were like jelly. They instinctively knelt. The youths had never seen such a scene. All of their faces were ghastly pale while their entire bodies trembled, and they didn't dare speak. Mo Fuchao couldn't move. He stared at the man in front of him and asked in a low voice, "Who exactly are you?" "Heavenly constellation earthly wraith. We're the phantoms in raincoats. Jade Pure Sect has committed a grave mistake. We're here to capture you. All I can tell you is that a great calamity awaits your sect." The man in the raincoat spoke in a low and hoarse voice. Mofuku's eyes widened in disbelief. At this moment, boom! A giant head unknowingly appeared among the mountains. His upper body was concealed by the blanket of clouds, and the highest peaks around him only reached his waist. The scene was spectacular. In front of this giant, everyone felt tiny, as if they were ants looking at a human. The two raincoat men were so frightened that their hands trembled. Because the giant wore the Jade Pure Sect's Daoist robe. Chapter 38. Raincoat Sect, Discovering a Spy. Hanju, who was using Imitate Heaven and Earth, looked down at the world beneath him. The clouds covered most of his vision, but he was still very excited. This mystical power is amazing. Hanju was at least 1,000 meters tall now, and it wasn't an illusion. The entire thing was his physical body, and his Daoist robe also grew bigger. It was really impressive. Furthermore, his physical strength also multiplied. Mystical powers are truly unfathomable. Hanju felt that he could topple a mountain with a single kick. This powerful feeling gave him a lot of confidence. This place was still quite a distance away from the Jade Pure Sect. He chose this place to avoid causing a commotion. Imitate Heaven and Earth is indeed powerful. 1,000 meters tall body. I'm sure nascent soul realm cultivators can't damage me at all. Hanju was secretly pleased. He was about to leave when he heard the sound of fighting. He turned around and saw a group of ants in the mountains not far away. Oh, not ants. They are people. Hanju didn't care at first, but later he felt that one of the auras was familiar. Isn't that Mofuku? He looked at it more closely and nicely saw Mofuku getting stabbed. What the hell? Who dares to hurt our disciples right outside the sect? As the deity-slaying elder, Hanju had to do something. He immediately transformed back, and the giant in the clouds vanished into thin air. At the same time, the raincoat men recovered from their shock. One of them murmured, "Were we hallucinating?" The other responded, "Maybe it's an apparition." The disciples of the Jade Pure Sect were also stunned. Mofuku had the weird feeling that the giant figure looked familiar. Himph! A strong gust of wind blew over. It was just a flash before Mofuku's eyes. Then the raincoat men were sent flying backward, both vomiting blood. In a daze, Mofuku saw someone. He stared harder. Indeed, it's him. In the blink of an eye, Hanju and the two raincoat men had already disappeared. The others were stunned on the spot as well. They were unable to recover from their shock for a long time. After a long while, Mofuku said angrily, "Come and help me." He still had a saber pierced into his chest. The others gathered around him. "Senior Mo, are you all right? Who was that person just now?" "You don't even have to ask. That must be our deity-slaying elder." To be able to hurt Senior Mo, the attackers must be experts of the Golden Core realm. The only person who can defeat two Golden Core realm cultivators in an instant is the deity-slaying elder. Deity-slaying elder? The mighty figure from the Jade Pure Sect who shocked the entire cultivation world. Main Peak, Sect Master's Hall. Hanju rushed into the door and woke Li Qingzi up. Without waiting for him to speak, he casually threw the two unconscious men to the ground. He used his divine sense to attack their souls, preventing them from waking up anytime soon. These two wanted to capture Mofuku. I'll leave them to you. Leaving these words behind, Hanju then left. Lai Qingzi was stunned for a moment before he slowly looked at the two men on the floor. On the other side, Hanju returned to his cave abode, sat down on the wooden bed, and stretched. If they dared to capture people right outside our sect, they must be our new enemy. Since they appeared after the viridescent nether cult's demise, they must be stronger. Hanju thought silently. Sigh. Endless trouble. Is this life? I need to break through to the soul formation realm as soon as possible. Hanju suddenly felt that being at the nascent soul realm wasn't that safe after all. The next morning, Lai Qingzi and the Great Grand Elder came looking for him. Hanju opened the cave entrance and let them in. Tisk, the spiritual aura here is almost comparable to Main Peak's herbal garden. The Great Grand Elder clicked his tongue in wonder. Facing Hanju again, he was still a little embarrassed. After all, decades ago, he was demoralized by him. Now that he had picked up the mystical power again, he still felt somewhat uncomfortable meeting Hanju. Lai Qingzi smiled. The cave abode is still a little small. Should we ask someone to make it bigger? Hanju shook his head and said, It's good enough. It would seem too empty if it was bigger. If the sect master and the ex-sect master came at the same time, there must be some big trouble. Just say it. Are we in trouble again? Hanju asked. It must be because of the two men I caught yesterday. Lai Qingzi sighed and said, Those two men are from the Raincoat sect. We have been established for almost 1,000 years, while the Raincoat sect has already existed for thousands of years. Their whereabouts are mysterious. 1,000 years ago, they tried to conquer the entire Great Yan cultivation world. But they were defeated by a union of orthodox sects. After that, they hid in the darkness. Now they are back again. Recently, they captured a few of our talented disciples. They seem to have a lot of information about us as they know very well who their targets are. Great Grand Elder harumphed. There must be a spy. The spies from the viridescent nether cult are yet to be eliminated. Most concerning are the spies hidden among the elders. I suspect that they went to find the Raincoat sect to help them seek revenge. Raincoat sect. What an interesting name. Hanju asked. Are there soul formation or void amalgamation realm cultivators in this Raincoat sect? Lai Qingzi replied. There are definitely soul formation realm cultivators, but I'm not sure about void amalgamation realm cultivators. Oh. Hanju suddenly wanted to run away again. Of course, it was just a thought. Where could he run to? The Great Grand Elder said, We plan to pay a personal visit to each sect and unite all the orthodox sects together. During this period of time, we hope you can protect the J Pure sect. You face the request of the J Pure sect's sect master and Great Grand Elder. You have the following choices. It had been a long time since Hanju had to make a choice. There are more rewards for the second option. There are also soul formation realm cultivation pills. No problem, Hanju agreed readily. As long as he was not asked to go out, anything was fine. Lai Qingzi and the Great Grand Elder were pleasantly surprised. Their favorability towards Hanju increased once again, both reaching a 4-star favorability. After the two of them left, Hanju immediately entered his cultivation state. It's too dangerous. I need to hurry up my cultivation. Hanju thought silently. Although he could already absorb 6 types of spirit ki at the same time, it would still take him decades to reach the soul formation realm. A few decades, that's the lifespan of mere mortals. In the blink of an eye, 6 years had passed. Hanju broke through to the 5th level of the nascent soul realm, and his lifespan increased to 1,080 years. I like this progression. Hanju was very satisfied. He suddenly remembered something. Why wasn't his disciple Yang Tandong back yet? He opened his interpersonal link and noticed the flashing red banners on his mailbox. He clicked on them to check. Your good friend, Li Kingzi, has been attacked by the Raincoat Sect X14. Your good friend, Great Grand Elder, was attacked by the Raincoat Sect X26. Your disciple, Yang Tiandong, has been attacked by the Raincoat Sect. Your disciple, Yang Tiandong, has been captured by the Raincoat Sect. Your friend, Zhou Fan, has been attacked by the Raincoat Sect X8. It was a long list of attacks from the Raincoat Sect. It looked even direr than when they faced the viridescent Nether cult. Hanju noticed that his disciple was caught. Logically speaking, as the master, he should come out of seclusion. No. Hanju felt that this was a trap. A mysterious force was manipulating his life, forcing him into danger. He had to fight against fate. He wouldn't take any risks. Hanju suddenly thought of something. Could there be spies from the Raincoat Sect in the Jade Pure Sect? He immediately used the simulation trial function to detect the people in the sect. He first searched for the strongest person in the sect besides himself. Old Immortal Daoist Thunder, 7th level of the Nascent Soul Realm, teaching elder of the Heavenly Thunder Peak of the Jade Pure Sect, secret deacon of the Raincoat Sect. Hanju was stunned. Old Immortal Daoist Thunder did not develop any favorability or hatred towards him, so he knew very little about him. Who would know that Old Immortal Daoist Thunder was the spy among us? Chapter 39. Killing an Elder, Demon Saint Divine Pet. A secret deacon of the Raincoat Sect. Hanju raised his eyebrows. He hid really well. No wonder after the battle with the viridescent Nether cult, many elders had a favorable impression toward Hanju, but Old Immortal Daoist Thunder did not. It's because he's the spy. The imposter. What should I do? Should I kill him or should I find evidence? Hanju scratched his chin and hesitated. He thought for a moment and went to Jade Serene Peak. Fairy Xiaoxuan was trustworthy. The interpersonal relationships didn't indicate that she was a spy. Arriving in front of the Jade Serene Hall, the door opened quickly and Hanju immediately entered. This time, he didn't kowtow. Instead, he clasped his hands and bowed. Master, I discovered an elder who works for the Raincoat Sect. What should I do? Kill him or find evidence? Hanju asked. Fairy Xiaoxuan opened her eyes and asked softly, Who? Old Immortal Daoist Thunder from Heavenly Thunder Peak. Kill. Hanju was stunned. This was completely different from the conversation he had in mind. Does Fairy Xiaoxuan have a grudge against him? Fairy Xiaoxuan snorted. I have always felt that something was wrong with him. If you say so, then it's probably true. Hanju nodded and left. Fairy Xiaoxuan thought about it and stood up. The two of them left Jade Serene Peak and flew towards Heavenly Thunder Peak. As one of the most popular peaks, nearly 200 disciples cultivated at all sorts of locations on Heavenly Thunder Peak. Hanju and Fairy Xiaoxuan quickly arrived at Heavenly Thunder Hall. Senior, I'm here to visit you. Fairy Xiaoxuan spoke. With that, the door opened. The two of them immediately went in. The door closed behind them. Seeing Hanju's arrival, Old Immortal Daoist Thunder was surprised and quickly stood up. Two elders visiting me. Old Immortal Daoist Thunder said smilingly. However, before he could finish his sentence, sword shadows flashed in the hall. The sword shadows pierced through Old Immortal Daoist Thunder's chest, pinning him to the main hall's jade wall. Hanju had been able to kill a Soul Formation Realm cultivator when he had been at the first level of the Nascent Soul Realm. Now at the 5th, dealing with Old Immortal Daoist Thunder was a piece of cake. So fast. Fairy Xiaoxuan was secretly shocked. She didn't even see how Hanju attacked. Old Immortal Daoist Thunder was even more terrified. He wanted to struggle, but he realized that Hanju's sword Kai had seeped into his body and was rapidly devouring his spirit energy. Impossible. Why is his spirit energy so overwhelming? Terrified, old immortal Deweis Thunder shouted, Elder Han. What are you doing? Expressionless, Hanju said. A secret deacon of the Raincoat sect, are you? When the sect master left, he asked me to protect the sect. Recently, many talented disciples are being captured by the Raincoat sect. It must be you who has provided the information on them. I'm killing you right now. He walked towards Old Immortal Deweis Thunder. Old Immortal Deweis Thunder has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred, 5 stars. Old Immortal Deweis Thunder was shocked. He suddenly turned into lightning and dispersed. Bolts of lightning zapped towards the door. Hanju raised his right hand, and lightning shot out from his palm. Major Chiliocosm thunderstorm. Countless bolts of lightning interweaved in the hall, shattering the jade bottles, paintings and other ornaments. Boom! The heavenly thunder hall shattered as well. Old Immortal Deweis Thunder reappeared out of thin air and fell onto the ground, vomiting blood. Just as he was about to stand up, 3 sword shadows descended from the sky and destroyed his body. His nascent soul wanted to escape, but it was destroyed by the 9 dragons' devil-expelling seal. Old Immortal Deweis Thunder was slaughtered. Turning around to leave, Hanju said, Master, I'll leave the rest to you. He quickly left. Not long after he left, the disciples of Heavenly Thunder Peak finally entered the hall. Mo Fuku and Mozu were also there. Seeing the rubbles of the Heavenly Thunder Hall, they were stupefied. Fairy Xaixuan said, Deity Slaying Elder, and I have found out that Old Immortal Deweis Thunder is a spy from the Raincoat sect. Deity Slaying Elder has just executed him. Tell your fellow disciples to continue cultivating without worries. A new elder will be chosen when the sect master is back. Try not to go out anymore, so that you won't be targeted by the Raincoat sect. With a wave of her right hand, she took away Old Immortal Deweis Thunder's storage ring. The Heavenly Thunder Peak disciples were dumbfounded. How is that possible? Master is a spy? Can Deity Slaying Elder be mistaken? But Master has been so dedicated for so many years. Even if he's a suspect, we need to wait for the sect master to come back. Master is already dead. I noticed them when they went up the mountain. It has only been 10 breaths of time, but Master was already killed. Heavenly Thunder Peak's Old Immortal Deweis Thunder had been killed by the Deity Slaying Elder. The news was like a heavy bomb to the inner sect, causing the disciples of the 18 peaks to be in an uproar. Was Old Immortal Deweis Thunder really a traitor? The elders quickly gathered in the main peak's main hall. The meeting was led by Deweis Jinxu. Fairy Xaixuan flipped her right hand, and a letter appeared in her palm. She then said, I found it in Old Immortal Deweis Thunder's storage ring. It's a letter passed to him by an envoy of the Raincoat sect. Old Immortal Deweis Thunder was asked to collect information about talented disciples of the Jade Pure sect. Apart from this, there are some other letters from the Raincoat sect and equipment for fiendish cultivators. She passed the letter to the other elders. After reading it, the elders were all furious and shocked. They cursed Old Immortal Deweis Thunder in anger while feeling great fear. The Deity Slaying Elder was too terrifying. He killed Old Immortal Deweis Thunder without even discussing it with them. Horrified, they decided to never provoke Hanju. At the same time, Hanju continued to search in his cave abode. Apart from Old Immortal Deweis Thunder, the other elders of the Jade Pure sect were all innocent. But that was normal. If numerous spies were found among the elders, the Jade Pure sect would have been long destroyed. The elders were clear. Next were the deacons. There were spies from everywhere among the deacons. Apart from the Raincoat sect, there were spies from all sorts of sects, whether they were orthodox or fiendish. There were even some from cultivation families. Hanju was flabbergasted. Are all sects in the cultivation world like this, or are we just unlucky? Hanju shook his head. There were too many for him to pursue the matter. After all, these deacons couldn't do much to harm the sect. Hanju began to cultivate. After that, every half a year, he would use the simulation trial system to detect the strongest person in the J-Pure sect, in case the Rankot sect suddenly launched an attack. 2 years later, a notification suddenly appeared in front of Hanju's cultivating figure. Detected bearer of connate Providence, checking its origin. Again. Hanju immediately checked. A row of words appeared in front of him. Black Hell Chicken. Reincarnated demon saint of the upper world. Its true form is a black hell phoenix. Because it killed too many people, it offended the heavenly court and was executed. Its soul sneaked into the 6 paths of reincarnation and was reborn in the mortal world. Its soul will continually modify its physical body until it finally transforms back into a black hell phoenix. It's now a chick. Its spirit intelligence has not matured. It's like a 2-year-old infant. Hanju was stunned. A demon saint from the upper world? So awesome? Yang Tiandong only possessed a demon saint bloodline in the mortal world. The Black Hell Chicken was a demon saint from the upper world. And there's also a heavenly court. Isn't this from the legends back on Earth? Does this world also have one? Intrigued by the Black Hell Chicken, Hanju immediately reached out with his divine sense. At the foot of the mountain, an old farmer was leading a herd of cows through the mountains. On the back of each cow were 2 chicken cages filled with chickens. Hanju's divine sense quickly landed on one of the little black chickens. The feathers of this black chicken were shiny and had a metallic feel to them. Amongst the group of chicks, only this little black chicken had a faint spirit energy fluctuation. How could he miss out on an unparalleled divine pet? Hanju immediately went down the mountain. He approached the old farmer and immediately asked for the chick. The old farmer didn't dare to refuse. He was a servant of the J-Pure sect, and this batch of cows and chicks was meant to be given to the inner sect. Once Hanju showed his elder token, the farmer obeyed. Hanju grabbed the Black Hell Chicken and returned to his cave abode. Chapter 40. A controversial figure. A terrifying 9th-level Foundation Establishment Realm Cultivator. After bringing the Black Hell Chicken back to his cave abode, Hanju tossed it aside and began to cultivate. Initially, the Black Hell Chicken wanted to eat his flowers when it was hungry. However, it was sent flying by his 6 paths spirit energy and crashed into the wall. It cried out in pain. That was close. I almost killed it. Hanju had no choice but to pour his spirit energy into the Black Hell Chicken to guide it to absorb spirit Ki. After several days, the Black Hell Chicken finally got used to it. Absorbing spirit Ki could alleviate hunger. So the Black Hell Chicken began enjoying cultivation. Needless to say, the reincarnation of a demon saint was indeed impressive. Although it had yet to complete its transformation and its intelligence had not matured, its instincts were still there. If it didn't meet Hanju, the Black Hell Chicken would have been sent to the 10,000 demon realm, eaten by other demon beasts, and reincarnated again. It was unknown how many lifetimes it would take for it to regain the grace of a demon saint. After the Black Hell Chicken started cultivating, Hanju was relieved and continued cultivating. The 5th level of the nascent soul realm was far from enough for him. His goal was to reach the soul formation realm as soon as possible. No. I have to reach the void amalgamation realm soon. Or rather, the Mahayana realm. I need to reach the highest cultivation level in the mortal world. Then I can finally be at ease. 2 years later, Lai Kingzi and the Great-Grand Elder returned. When they came to know that old immortal Deways Thunder was a spy and had already been killed by Hanju, they were appalled. After Fairy Xiaoxuan took out the evidence, the 2 of them became furious and cursed the Raincoat sect for being shameless. At the same time, Hanju was hosting Xing Hongzhuan in his cave abode. It had been a long time since he had seen Xing Hongzhuan, and she had become even more attractive. She was already at the 8th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. The speed at which she broke through was quite fast. She was already catching up to Chang Yuer and Mo Zhu. The treatment she received at Main Peak was indeed better than at the other 18 peaks. The sect master has returned, and you have kept the Jade Pure Sect safe. You will obtain a spell manual and a bottle of Soul Formation Realm Cultivation Pills. Congratulations on attaining the Wind God Technique. Congratulations on attaining a bottle of Soul Formation Realm Spirit Key Gathering Pills. Wind God Technique, Wind Type Spell. You can ride the wind and travel between heaven and earth. It can also transform one's body into wind. Soul Formation Realm Spirit Key Gathering Pill. A top-tier cultivation pill for Soul Formation Realm cultivators. There's a total of 12 pills. Hanju smiled when he saw the 5 lines of words. Xing Hongxuan began to plant the natural treasures she had gathered. These treasures were obtained when I was out adventuring. I brought them to you immediately. You will definitely need them. Xing Hongxuan smiled. She turned around and saw Hanju smiling, and she felt a surge of sweetness in her heart. It seemed that her husband was very happy about her arrival. Hanju started to chat with her. Xing Hongxuan told him the story of how she went out to train, and Hanju also learned about the cultivation world. Last month, she went out to train with her seniors from the same peak. Coincidentally, she came across a battle between an orthodox sect, the Crimson Peak sect, and a demonic path sect, Azure Dragon sect. They helped fend off the cultivators from Azure Dragon sect, and Xing Hongxuan obtained a storage ring by chance. She later discovered that there were many treasures in it. What rank is the J Pure sect in the cultivation world of Great Yan? Hanju asked. Xing Hongxuan said in a low voice, there are more than 20 sects in the Great Yan cultivation world, including 12 orthodox sects. J Pure sect should be among the top 5. Only the top 5. Hanju was disappointed. No wonder we have so many enemies. Xing Hongxuan shook her head and smiled. Actually, most sects don't have much of a difference in strength. They don't have a true ranking. Hanju nodded. There were not that many rankings in the real cultivation world. After all, there was no big data supporting it. Xing Hongxuan seemed to recall something and continued, oh right. Recently, a controversial figure has appeared in the cultivation world. Huang Jihao, from the Vermilion Bird Sword sect. Back when he was at the Golden Core realm, he once killed an old nascent soul realm monster. He then became very famous. It has been a few hundred years, and his strength has probably reached the soul formation realm. Recently, he single-handedly fought his way into an orthodox sect, and no one could stop him. She frowned slightly and said, I heard that Guan Jihao wants to challenge all the sects in the Great Yan cultivation world. Will he come to us? Through Deweis Jingxu, she already knew that Hanju was the deity-slaying elder. If Wang Jihao came, Hanju would definitely have to face him. Hanju shook his head and thought, why are there such battle maniacs everywhere? To be able to challenge a sect alone, he should be very strong. Hanju cautiously asked, did Wang Jihao kill anyone while challenging the sect? Xing Hongxuan shook her head. Not really. After all, the Vermilion Bird Sword sect is also an orthodox sect. Then, I'm relieved. Xing Hongxuan was confused. The famous deity-slaying elder is still so afraid of death? She thought it was funny, but she didn't look down on Hanju. No one in the entire J Pure sect had the right to look down on him. After chatting for an hour, Xing Hongxuan left. Hanju continued to cultivate. Xing Hongxuan, Mo Zhu, and Chang Yuer would visit him every few years. They didn't disturb him but simply chatted with him. Hanju gradually got used to such a life. It would be nice to chat with them occasionally and learn more about the cultivation world from them. At the same time, the black hell chicken continued to grow. A year later, Hanju habitually tested the area around the Jade Pure sect. Yi Sanling, 7th level of the Nascent Soul Realm, Deacon of the Raincoat Sect. 7th level Nascent Soul Realm. Not bad. Hanju slowly got up and walked out of the cave. The black hell chicken looked up at him before continuing to cultivate. Under Hanju's nurturing, it also started to enjoy cultivation. Several kilometers away, in a forest, a man dressed in the Daoist robe of the Jade Pure Sect was meditating under a tree. He had a handsome face and an evil aura between his brows. It was indeed Yi Sanling of the Raincoat Sect. Why isn't Daoist Thunder here yet? Did something happen? Third Junior Yi cursed. He had been waiting for a month. His patience was running out. He even wanted to charge straight into Jade Pure Sect. However, when he thought of the mysterious deity slaying Elder, he didn't. At this moment, Hanju walked towards him from the woods. Upon seeing him, Yi Sanling immediately became alert. He reached out with his divine senses. 9th level of the Foundation Establishment Realm. A puny ant. Yi Sanling continued to cultivate and pretended not to see Hanju. In any case, he was wearing the Daoist robe of the Jade Pure Sect, so it would be suspicious if he ran away whenever he saw someone. Who knew that Hanju would walk right up to him? Yi Sanling frowned and asked, "Is there something you need?" Hanju transmitted his voice, "Are you Deacon Yi of the Raincoat Sect?" "I'm Old Immortal Daoist Thunder's personal disciple. Recently your activities have been bothering the Jade Pure Sect, so Master received many missions and has no time to visit you. So he asked me to find you." Upon hearing this, Yi Sanling frowned harder. He suddenly struck out at Hanju's chest. A tyrannical spirit strength poured into Hanju's body. Then, with a boom, Yi Sanling was sent flying by the rebound and crashed into a tree. Hanju patted his chest and snorted in his head. "I'm protected, how can you hit me? And you only have so much spirit energy?" The Golden Cicada's mystic divine robe did not have the ability to reflect attacks. It was Hanju who used his 6 paths spirit energy to push out instinctively. How could Yi Sanling's mortal spirit energy resist? "You!" Yi Sanling stood up, shocked and furious. How can a 9th level Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator be so powerful? Wait. Could it be? Yi Sanling suddenly thought of someone and turned pale with fright. He turned around and tried to flee. Just as he turned around, 3 sword shadows shot over like lightning, directly crushing his body. In the blink of an eye, Yi Sanling's nascent soul abandoned his physical body and shot towards the horizon. Extremely fast. Hanju immediately used the wind god technique and turned into a gust of wind to chase after him. In less than 3 seconds, he caught up to Yi Sanling. He raised his hand and executed the major chiliocosm thunderstorm. The lightning that filled the sky transformed into a net to stop Yi Sanling.